when everything falls apart, don't quit a rebuild. There is something nobody warned you about. Nobody told you that slowing down does not mean you are losing. Nobody told you that sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is stop, breathe, and gather the strength to rise again. Instead, you were taught to keep running, keep pushing, keep sacrificing, keep pretending that exhaustion is a badge of honor. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that resting meant weakness. You convinced yourself that if you stopped for a moment, life would leave you behind. So you ignored the pain. You ignored the stress. You ignored the voice inside you begging for peace. And maybe, for a while, it worked. You kept moving, you kept fighting, you kept carrying everything on your shoulders. But eventually, something changed. The passion became pressure. The dream became a burden. The life you fought, so hard to build, started feeling like a prison. And suddenly you found yourself asking questions nobody around you could answer. Why am I so tired? Why does everything feel heavy? Why do I feel empty when I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do? Listen carefully. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are simply exhausted. You kept giving without allowing yourself to recover. You kept pouring from a cup that was already empty. And no matter how strong you are, no matter how determined you may be, nothing can survive forever without restoration. Even the strongest warriors rest. Even the tallest trees endure seasons when nothing seems to grow. Even the sun disappears every night before it rises again. Nature understands something. Many people forget, rest is not the enemy of growth. Rest is part of growth. Because you don't become stronger while you're fighting. You become stronger while you're healing. You don't rebuild yourself while you're running. You rebuild yourself when you finally give yourself permission to breathe. And maybe that's exactly what you need right now. Not another motivational quote. Not another reason to push harder. Maybe what you need is permission. Permission to pause, permission to recover, permission to start over. Because starting over is not failure. Starting over is wisdom. And there is something beautiful about beginning again. Because every comeback starts with a decision. A decision to stop pretending. A decision to face the truth. A decision to rebuild what has been neglected. And that decision can change everything. There comes a moment in every person's life when they can no longer hide behind distractions. The noise fades, the excuses lose their power, and the truth finally stands in front of them. Not the truth they tell other people, not the stories they repeat to make themselves feel better. The real truth, the one that lives deep inside, because there are some battles that hard work alone cannot solve. There are moments when working harder isn't the answer. Sometimes the answer is honesty, and honesty is uncomfortable, because being honest means admitting that some things are no longer serving you. It means accepting that not everything you fought for deserves to stay in your life. Some habits have to die, some routines have to change, some people have to be left behind, and some versions of yourself must be released forever. But most people avoid. This not because they're weak, because it hurts. It's easier to stay busy than to sit alone with your thoughts. It's easier to blame the world than to look in the mirror. It's easier to keep running than to ask yourself the questions you've been avoiding. But growth begins where excuses end, and one question changes everything. Are you becoming the person you promised yourself you would become? Or are you simply growing older? Because those are not the same thing. Time alone changes nothing. Years alone change nothing. People don't transform because time passes. People transform because they decide to. And that decision begins with responsibility, not guilt, not shame. Responsibility, the ability to say, I made mistakes. I ignored what I knew. I settled when I should have fought. I delayed what I knew had to be done. I kept choosing comfort instead of growth. And that's okay, because your mistakes are not your prison. They are your lessons. The moment you stop blaming life, you take your power back. The moment you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, you become your own answer. Nobody is coming to save you, and that should not scare you. It should set you free, because if nobody is coming to save you, then nobody can stop you either. But rebuilding yourself requires courage. Not the courage to fight the world, the courage to fight yourself. The courage to let go of habits that are destroying your future. The courage to walk away from things that drain your spirit. The courage to stop pretending. Everything is fine when deep inside you know something needs to change. Because everything in your life is either feeding you or draining you. Every thought, every conversation, every habit, every friendship, every hour you spend, everything is shaping the person you're becoming. Nothing is neutral. Some things are making you stronger. Others are quietly stealing your future. And deep down, you already know which is which. You know what needs to change. You've known for a long time. You've heard that voice inside you. The voice that speaks when everything becomes quiet. The voice that says, "This isn't who you are. You were made for more. You cannot keep living this way." But every time that voice speaks, distractions get louder, fear gets louder, comfort gets louder. And once again, you postpone the change until one day you wake up and realize that years have passed, and the life you dreamed about still lives only inside your mind. But hear me carefully. It is not too late as long as you are breathing. There is still time. As long as your heart is beating, your story is not over. You have not missed your opportunity. You have not ruined your future. You are not beyond repair, because life has a beautiful way of rewarding those who are willing to begin. Again, not perfectly, not dramatically, but honestly. The reset doesn't happen all at once. It begins with small decisions: cleaning your environment, changing your routines, protecting your peace, feeding your mind with better thoughts, sleeping better, taking care of your body, choosing growth over comfort. Little by little, day by day, brick by brick, because greatness isn't built in one day. It's built in the quiet moments nobody applauds. It is built when nobody is watching, and one day, you'll look back and realize something incredible. The person you prayed to become was created by the choices you made when nobody believed in you. And that is where real transformation begins. Most people are waiting for confidence, waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for fear to disappear, waiting for life to become easier, and while they wait, years pass. Dreams fade, and opportunities quietly disappear, because the truth nobody talks about is this: you will never feel completely ready. You will never wake up one morning with every answer. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be doubt. There will always be fear. But fear was never meant to stop you. Fear was meant to test you, because courage does not come after fear. Disappears. Courage is what happens when you move despite the fear. Think about how many things you've postponed, how many dreams you've delayed, how many ideas you've carried inside your mind, not because you couldn't do them, not because they were impossible, but because you kept telling yourself, one day when life is easier, one day when you have more money, one day when you know enough, one day when everything finally makes sense. But one day is dangerous, because one day often becomes never, and before you know it, years have gone by. The dream is still there, the desire is still there, but the fire inside has grown weaker. Not because you lost your potential, but because hesitation stole your time. Listen carefully. You do not need to see the entire road. You only need enough courage to take the next step. Not the whole staircase, not the entire mountain. Just one step, one action, one decision, one promise to yourself. That is how every comeback begins. Not with a miracle, not with a perfect plan, but with movement, because action creates clarity, not the other way around. People believe they need confidence before they start, but confidence is built after starting. Confidence is earned. It grows every time. You keep a promise to yourself every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you continue when quitting would be easier. And yes, starting again is hard, because you are not beginning with a blank page. You are carrying disappointments. You are carrying memories. You are carrying mistakes. You are carrying regrets. You are carrying all the things you wish had gone differently, and sometimes those burdens make the future seem impossible. You compare yourself to others. You compare yourself to who you could have been, and suddenly the distance between where you are and where you want to be feels overwhelming. But stop. Stop looking at the entire journey. Stop measuring yourself against people who aren't living your life. Stop punishing yourself for the years you cannot get back, because none of that matters. The only thing that matters is what you do now. Not yesterday, not next, year now, today, this moment, because life changes in moments, and moments become habits, and habits become character, and character becomes destiny. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that will make tomorrow better? Maybe it's writing the first page. Maybe it's making the phone call. Maybe it's praying again. Maybe it's going back to the gym. Maybe it's saying goodbye to something that no longer belongs in your life. Maybe it's forgiving yourself. Maybe it's simply getting out of bed and trying again. Whatever it is, do it, because small actions become extraordinary results when repeated long enough. Nobody sees the greatness. While it's being built, people only celebrate the result. But greatness is created in silence. In ordinary days, in private battles, in lonely mornings, in moments when nobody is watching. And the people who change their lives are not always the most talented. They are not always the smartest. They are not always the strongest. They are simply the people who refused to stay down. The people who stood up one more time. The people who kept walking when progress was invisible. The people who believed when they had no proof. The people who continued when everyone else stopped. And maybe that's who you are becoming. Maybe your greatest chapter isn't behind you. Maybe it hasn't even begun. Maybe everything you've been through wasn't punishment. Maybe it was preparation for the person you're about to become. Because broken seasons create stronger souls. Pain creates wisdom. Failure creates humility. Loss creates gratitude. And struggle creates strength. You have survived things that once made you believe you wouldn't. You have overcome storms you thought would destroy you. And yet, you are still here, still breathing, still fighting, still searching, still hoping. And that means something. It means your story isn't over. It means heaven hasn't finished with you. It means there is still greatness inside you, waiting to be awakened. So, stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Move anyway, trust anyway, believe anyway, start anyway. Because someday you'll realize that the moment which changed your entire life was not the moment you had everything figured out. It was the moment you decided not to quit. There is a battle happening around you every single day, and most people don't even realize they're losing it. Not because they're weak, not because they lack talent, but because their attention has been stolen. Their minds have become crowded. Their dreams have become buried. Beneath distractions, their days have become filled with noise, and little by little, they forget what truly matters. The world has become loud. Everybody wants your attention. Every notification, every message, every trend, every opinion, every distraction is competing for your focus. And the tragedy is not that people are busy. The tragedy is that people are distracted. Busy doesn't always mean productive. Moving doesn't always mean progressing. Being occupied doesn't always mean you're building something meaningful. Because you can spend your entire life doing things and still never accomplish what matters most. And that's why focus has become a superpower. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention is consumed by fear, your life becomes fear. If your attention is consumed by negativity, your life becomes negativity. If your attention is consumed by distractions, your dreams slowly disappear. But if your attention is fixed on purpose, everything changes. Because focus creates momentum. Momentum creates discipline. And discipline creates transformation. Think about how much potential has been wasted. Not because people lacked intelligence, not because they lacked opportunities, but because they lacked concentration. They kept giving their minds to things that gave nothing back. Hours disappeared. Days disappeared. Years disappeared. And one day they woke up wondering where their life had gone. But life didn't disappear. Their focus did. And the truth is, your attention is more valuable than money. Because money lost can be recovered. Time cannot. And whoever controls your attention controls your future. Protect it, guard it, respect it, because your dreams deserve more than your leftovers. Your future deserves your best energy, not the energy that remains after you've spent the whole day feeding distractions. Imagine what could happen if you gave your dreams the same attention. You give your worries. Imagine what could happen if you spent more time building and less time comparing. Imagine what could happen if you stopped measuring your life against everybody else's highlight reel. Because comparison is a thief. It steals peace, it steals gratitude, it steals confidence, and it blinds you to the blessings already growing inside your own life. You were never created to compete with everyone else. You were created to become the best version of yourself. That is the only competition that matters. To wake up better than yesterday? stronger than yesterday, wiser than yesterday, more disciplined than yesterday. Because success isn't built in giant leaps, it's built through small improvements repeated daily. Little victories, tiny choices, silent sacrifices. These are the things that change lives. And yet, comfort whispers another message. Comfort says, take it easy, start tomorrow. You deserve a break. There's plenty of time, but comfort has destroyed more dreams than failure ever has. Because comfort feels safe. Comfort feels familiar. Comfort feels easy. But comfort is dangerous when it becomes permanent, because growth lives outside comfort. Purpose lives outside comfort. Transformation lives outside comfort. The person you're meant to become is waiting beyond the excuses, beyond the fear, beyond the distractions, beyond the comfort you've been holding on to. And maybe that's why you feel restless. Maybe that's why something inside you refuses to settle, because your soul knows you were made for more. It is your calling. It's the quiet voice reminding you that there is another level waiting for you, another chapter waiting for you, another version of yourself waiting to be born. And no one can unlock that version except you. Not luck, not circumstances, not approval from other people. You, because every day, you have a choice. You can give your life to distractions, or you can give your life to purpose. You can live by accident, or you can live with intention. You can chase comfort, or you can chase growth. And one day, years from now, you'll look back and realize that your life wasn't shaped by a few big decisions. It was shaped by thousands of small choices. The mornings you got up when nobody was watching, the nights you kept going when nobody believed, the sacrifices nobody applauded, the discipline nobody celebrated. Those moments created the person you became. And one day, people will call you lucky. They'll see the results, but they won't see the tears. They won't see the lonely seasons. They won't see the battles you fought in silence, but you will know. You will know what it cost. You will know. How many times you wanted to quit? How many times you doubted yourself? How many times you fell and stood back up? And that's why your victory will mean something. Because it wasn't given, it was earned. So stop chasing distractions. Stop feeding your fears. Stop feeding your fears. Stop giving away your attention. And remember this, where your focus goes, your future follows.